My wife passed of cancer at home after about 8 months of hospice care. And the day after she died, I sat alone in the quiet house, feeling like a war had just ended, but the only victor was death. And as I brewed a cup of coffee, a sudden surge of anger flooded through my body. It startled me. Like, what is this? Why am I angry? Aren't I supposed to be sad right now? About a week after her funeral, I started traveling, because travel was one way I dealt with my grief. Because the quiet house told the same old stories, but the open road told me new ones. And my first stop was Seattle, Washington. And at breakfast one morning with a good friend who lived there, he asked me, "Do you find yourself talking to her out loud?" I said, "Oh, no. He said, "Really? Why's that?" "I'm afraid she'll hear me, and we'll get into another argument." He said, "That's probably a pretty good place to start." So I took his advice, and on my walk about the city that day, I stopped at Elliott Bay Bookstore. I bought a yellow moleskin journal and an ink pen. And I found a table at their coffee shop, and I sat down and I began to write. And I penned some of the most vulnerable and honest words I've ever given myself permission to express. They were so honest, they were uncomfortable to reread. So uncomfortable, I felt the need to add a disclaimer in the front of that journal. I wrote, "Whoever finds this, please understand that these are the words of an angry, grieving man. Don't try to return it to me. Just go ahead and destroy it for me, because I have a feeling I won't need it back eventually anyway." See, anger is an invitation. It is that signal in the body that something is wrong and I need to pay attention. And that journal was my RSVP to anger's invitation. Because what it showed me was I held within me a tremendous amount of unresolved conflict that was never, ever going to be resolved. And I held wounds and hurts that were never going to be healed together. I was just left holding all of it, all alone. And that made me very angry. While anger is an invitation, it is never meant to be a solution, because anger cannot solve anything. It can only create more of itself. This is why anger management is futile. Anger is too important to be relegated to a handful of tips and techniques, hoping to contain it. Now, anger needs a leader, not a manager. Anger needs a leader it can trust to move it from an angry place into a better future. It needs a leader that is patient, one that's kind, one that's not envious or doesn't boast. It needs a leader that doesn't keep a record of wrongs. Instead, it bears all things. It hopes all things. It endures all things. Anger deserves a leader that will not fail. And that leader, yes, is love. Love is the most adequate, qualified leader for anger to get behind. I burned that journal recently. My original instinct was right. I didn't need it any longer. Anger had done its job. It got my attention. But love was waiting to help me answer a deeper question a more important question. Not why was I angry, but would I be able to love again? So as you stand for that thing in your world, that thing that makes you angry, and how to change it, let's consider this together. Instead of fighting a good fight with gritted teeth, clenched fists, can we consider also, how do I open up? And how do I love the good love? Let's do that together and see where it takes us. Thank you.